Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of Generations of the Game. I'm one of your hosts, JP, and I'm with my co-host here, Will Lyons. What's going on, brother? How you feeling tonight?
Hey, man, it's recording day. It's always a good day, and we got family in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As also, we have friend of the show, frequent guest, college football guru in general, Ben Fair. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I've been back on this episode like 3 episodes in a row, man. I feel like I'm a co-host at this point myself. But
yeah, definitely. You know your family. You part of the family, man. So you know you good with us. You good with us. So
I appreciate y'all inviting me.
Oh man, anytime, brother. You know that. Anytime. I guess let's get right into it. Where should we begin? Because it's been a lot happening this week in the world of sports. And I think we should start off with the world of college football tied to the NFL, which means yesterday, really, Jim Harbaugh left the University of Michigan and took the job with the Los Angeles Chargers. To me, not surprising, to be kind of expected. So since Ben's the guest, let's start with you, Ben. How do you feel about this, and what do you see happening as far as like with the Chargers and Michigan?
So I like it a lot. It's a team in which, John had to decide, do I leave now and go to the NFL where he kind of has, I feel like, always wanted to be. I feel like, he took a stint away from the NFL for a while just because maybe of some of the stuff that was going on. And decided to go back to his alma mater and try to rebuild that program to the pedigree that it once was. And obviously he did that, winning the national championship this year. Because if he stays with this team, for a foreseeable future, I don't necessarily know if he has the same level of success next year as he did, this year and a couple years previously, because this was a roster that was extremely old. This team had a lot of fifth-year seniors. They had a lot of fourth-year seniors who have NFL pedigree. And so you were going to lose a lot of talent. We already saw J.J. McCarthy declare, so that's your quarterback. Your entire offensive lineman was gone. You were going to lose your entire offensive line. You're going to lose your star receiver in Roman Wilson. You're losing your star running back in Blake Corum. And you were losing a lot of star players defensively. Yeah, you were going to keep Mason Graham because he's a sophomore. You were going to keep Will Johnson because he's a sophomore and Rod Moore because they were sophomores. But everyone outside of that, they're fourth or fifth year players once again. So you were going to lose about 85% of your starters. That's a large turnover from one season to the next to try and replicate what you did the previous year. So I think he made the smart decision, because if you come back to this team, the last thing you want to do is win a national championship and then maybe not even make the college football playoff or have, 2 or 3 losses on your season. It's just going to make people question you. It's going to make people question what you did the season before. And so I think jumping to the NFL is the appropriate move. And he went to a great team. Of all the available job openings that were here this year, we saw the Raiders, we saw the Falcons, we saw the Seahawks, we saw the Panthers. The Chargers was the best move. You have a possible generational quarterback, possibly at least the best quarterback of available teams. You have an aging Keenan Allen, but Keenan Allen just had 1,300 yards last year at the age of 33. He's still one of the best receivers to ever play the game. And you got some real talent defensively. It's just your stars defensively have some injury history, but you have stars on the Chargers. You have household names on the Chargers. So I think he went to the great spot. And plus, you have the 5th pick of the draft. You can address a major need for that team with that pick. So I thought he made the right move.
Yeah, I'll comment on that in a second. As I agree with what you said, Will, go ahead. How do you feel about this move to Los Angeles and also with the University of Michigan? And we're going to discuss that in a second about the coach and stuff. Who probably will be the coach. But Will, how do you feel about Harbaugh's legacy at Michigan and How do you think he'll do with the Chargers?
I mean, he did it right. Echoing on what Ben said, going out a winner. In sports, and in life, you gotta, go while your stock is high. You know what I mean? And he made the right move. It's not every day a job opens up with, a quarterback with the talent, of Herbert. So that's a good move. There are weapons, that have been injured and that are aging, to complement, Herbert. But with that fifth pick, I'm hoping, they can pick up, either Neighbors from LSU if he's there, or the tight end from Georgia. That would be another good pickup, man. But
monster.
Absolutely, but I think it's a good move, man. There's been a lot of just to be honest, like bad hires by the Chargers front office, and I think it also was good that they got rid of Telesco, I believe his name is. To start fresh, man. New blood, in the front office. And you can maximize those defensive playmakers. Hopefully, Khalil Mack, Bosa and Derwin James can stay healthy. You can really make something happen, man. With the draft and free agency.
Right. I agree. I think, as sad as it is to see him go, I think this is a great opportunity for him because he has unfinished business left for the NFL. He wants to win. I believe an NFL championship will complete him. And like you said, when you have a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen's still there, Mike Williams coming back off ACL, he'll probably be healthy this year. You also look at Jamal Adams in the safety position. James Kerwin James. I'm sorry, man. I'm talking about Jamal Adams. He plays for the Seahawks. James, though, the safety. You look at, like you said, Bosa and Mack, and like you said, the tight end from Georgia would be perfect for him. Bowers. He's one of the best tight ends prospects we've seen in a long time. Kid's great. Can run, he can catch, he can block, he can do it all. He's a prototypical tight end, and he'll be going good with Justin Herbert. He could turn this around real quick. As far as the University of Michigan goes, are they going to take They're going to take a step or two back, of course. But you have Donovan Edwards, you got Moore, and all those, and on the defense, and all those guys. They'll be okay. Do I expect them to win the national championship this year? No. Do I expect them to lose 2 or 3 games this year? Yes. Regardless of who's going to be the coach. They're still going to be in contention. They're still going to be a top 10 to 15 team. And in the future, we'll see what happens in the future. I know Bryce Underwood signed with LSU. I understand. I know LSU has him. But you never know with today's climate of college football, you never know when that's going to flip around. I think Sherrod Moore, who they talk about bringing in as a coach, is a perfect choice. You basically are not missing a beat with him. So it's a win-win for both situations. Tell you what, Kansas City better watch out because they're not going to be dominating the division as much as they did. And also with we talk about football with the coaching merry-go-round and everything. Also, Antonio Pierce, he turned it around in Oakland a little bit. They're going to be more competitive now. Now that he's the permanent coach now. Also, we had another hiring today in the NFL. Raheem Morris got hired by the Atlanta Falcons. I felt as though that was a solid pick for them as well. I felt as though when he was at Tampa Bay, they got rid of him too soon. He had 2 or 3 years or whatever, and 1 year he went to the playoffs and basically was out the door. It's good to see that he's with the Falcons, and the Falcons are giving him a chance. I think he could be a solid coach there. Of course, he needs a quarterback and everything. But anyway, let's start off with Will on this one. Will, how do you feel about him getting this chance with the Falcons to be their head coach?
I think it's a good hire. One of the things that the Falcons need is, help, shoring up that defense. And that's something that we know that he can do for sure. They had a solid offensive piece, in Bijan Robinson, but you're right. They do need a quarterback. And I think that, it'll be a coach by committee. His offensive coordinator hire will be key. But I think, overall, really good start, to whatever's next, for the Falcons.
Right. I agree. How do you feel about this hire, Ben?
I like it. I'm always down for when a team brings back a familiar face. Like Raheem Morris was in Atlanta from 2015 to 2020. He worked alongside Dan Quinn. He was all part of that staff when they went to the Super Bowl. And so, I'm down for it, man. And he did a terrific job with the Rams as their DC over the last 2 seasons. And especially this past season. This was a Rams team that we thought was going to win 5 or 6 games. We thought they had missing pieces everywhere. And, they were what, 2-3 points away from beating the Lions. Like, this was a Rams team that played tremendous defense, and a lot of the reasons why they won the game, aside from Stafford and Puka, was because of what Raheem Morris was able to do with that defense. And Atlanta's got a very formidable defense that's up and coming. There were times at the beginning of the season last year where it looked like the Falcons had a top 5, top 10 defense. And so they got playmakers, they got household names. Offensively, we know they're super young with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and like you mentioned, Bijan Robinson. I'm for it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. They need a quarterback bad though, because I feel as though they're wasting their talent with the receivers they have that you just mentioned, and the tight end and stuff, and Bijan Robinson. They need a quarterback real bad. I think they need a solid quarterback to come in there, because it's a lot of talents on that offensive end, especially.
There's a man in the draft at number 8 that they could get that could kind of resemble something they've had in Atlanta before in the early 2000s. The man out of LSU can play similar to Michael Vick.
I know you're talking about Daniels, but they said Daniels is rocking it up now to number 2 on a lot of people's boards now as well. He's a top 5 pick. Now they're going to try to get him at 8. They want to trade. Get somebody to go along with him. Because like you said, with London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson, all they need is a quarterback. You'll see a big difference in that offense. Like you said, they have a solid defense and a foundation. They're missing the quarterback. Man, you put Daniels back there with what they have, especially when you see the success of rookie quarterbacks coming in the league nowadays. It could be something. It could be something. And I've heard also the scouts compare Daniels to Randall Cunningham. I thought that was very interesting. I don't think he's as tall, similar body type, but I think Randall's like 6'4", 6'5". I think Jaden Daniels is what?
Jaden's about 6'4". Jaden's just not as thick as Randall was.
Right.
Muscle. Randall had muscle. Jaden's weakness is he had a slim frame. He's like 195 pounds, 200 pounds. Yeah,
he's got to really, get that frame up, especially when you work with the NFL. This ain't college no more. Everybody running 4.5, 4.6s and everything in NFL, and they're big.
Atlanta got good food though.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. That'll fatten them up some. You're right. Also, while we're on the subject of football, we'll get to the playoffs in a minute. Let's talk about what Ohio State has done as far as in the transfer portal. They have cleaned up. And I'm telling you right now, if they don't beat Michigan this year, something is wrong. They are loaded everywhere. Ben, speak on it.
Yeah, so Ohio State, man, obviously, I feel like they've done more damage just bringing guys back. But they've done some damage in the portal. Obviously, they got the number 1 running back in the country in Quinshon Judkins. Man has been probably a top 10 running back since his freshman year. The kid is freaking special. One of the most talented running backs I've ever seen in my life. And then obviously you got to pair him with Travion Henderson, who decided to come back. I mean, that's the nastiest running back duo I've ever seen. And we've seen Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram together. Like, this Travion Henderson, Quinshon's going to be phenomenal. You bring in Will Howard. You flipped Will Howard from USC. Remember, he originally committed to USC after leaving Kansas State, and now he's going to make the jump over to Ohio State to fill in for the horrible, horrible quarterback that they had last year, in Kyle McCord, who's going to Syracuse. You got Emeka Egbuka to come back. Emeka Egbuka has been. Emeka hasn't really reached his full potential due to injuries the last 2 years, but Emeka has been a household name within college football since he's came on to campus at Ohio State. And then a large chunk of your entire defense came back. I believe they have 14 of their 22 starters coming back. That's incredible. Like, you have guys like Jack Sawyer deciding to come back. Jack Sawyer is a round 2 pick at worst. He's one of the most talented linebackers in the country. But yeah, they've done an incredible job. And then obviously,
don't forget.
I was just about to do it. I hate it because they took him from Alabama, but you got the number 1 safety in the country, possibly the number 1 DB in the entire country, and Caleb Downs, who decided to come over, which was kind of questionable. You know, his reasoning for leaving Alabama was, you know, everybody had moved on and he didn't know any familiar faces. He went to Ohio State. There's not a familiar face there. Like, Georgia would have made sense because they got T-Rob from us. They got Kirby Smart from us, obviously. You had relationships in Georgia, but you decided to go Ohio State. At the end of the day, I'm glad you're out of the SEC, so we don't have to see you till playoff time. He's that special.
And Ben, don't forget. Ben, don't forget.
Go ahead, my bad.
And I was going to say, you left out one person about the wide receiver spot. J.J. Smith.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, J.J. Smith, yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. I've seen him play on ESPN. He might be the best high school wide receiver prospect I've seen. That kid can play in college right now.
I mean, he'll be in college next year. This freshman wide receiving class is incredible.
It's incredible.
Ryan Williams, Jay Smith, Cam Coleman going to Auburn, Perry Thompson also going to Auburn. Like, this wide receiving class is ridiculous.
And Ryan Williams recommitted to Alabama.
Hollywood Williams. Of all the acquisitions, though, that this Ohio State team got that confused me the most was when they went out and got Julian Sayin from us. You have Aaron Nolan, a kid from the same class as Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin, obviously, depending on where you look at in rankings, he's anywhere from 1 to 3 in the quarterback positioning. Mm-hmm. But you had Aaron Nolan. In my opinion, Aaron Nolan's a top 5 quarterback of this class. Depending on where you look in your rankings, he's 7 or 8. I think there's maybe in 1 he's ranked within the top 5, but to have potentially the number 1 quarterback of his class and then potentially the number 5 quarterback of that same class on the same roster, and they're both freshmen, who's going to play? Like, who's going to play?
Somebody's going. Somebody's going.
Yeah.
Somebody's definitely going.
I was really flabbergasted because, like, I get it.
Saying, me too.
I get it. You want to transfer because, you know, Kalen DeBoer didn't recruit you to Bama. He brought in Austin Mack, who came in from Washington Wisdom. But, like, why run from that type of that competition? Like, one, when you go to Bama, you know it's going to be a competition regardless. Whether you're a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, you can get replaced by anyone. It doesn't matter what your high school ranking was. But at the same time, if you're the number 1 quarterback for your class and they brought in a kid who was like 10 or 12, why are you running from him? Why are you running from that guy? And you're going to go to the school that has another top 5 guy within your same class. You're going to go compete against a guy who has a way better chance of possibly being better than you and Aaron Nolan. You should not have been scared of Austin Mack, who came in with Kalen DeBoer.
Right. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, man. Alabama, look, are they going to win a national championship? Probably not, but they're going to be in the mix, though. They got some talent back. They're going to be in the mix. It won't surprise if they do get to the playoffs, though. It might not surprise me. They do have a lot of talent there. And like you said, Williams recommitting was huge. Milroe's coming back is huge. So you got your quarterback, your receiver. I think the running game is going to be solid. So the defense still got some pieces there. They're going to be all right. Alabama's going to be all right. Will, how do you see this with Ohio State and the massive recruiting that they have done and being reinforcements in? Especially, they got them for Michigan and to try to win a national championship. But they saw Michigan win. They're like, hell, we got to have one of those now. Nobody's going to talk about us if Michigan keeps doing what they're doing. How do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, you said it on a previous show. I feel like, the coach knows that seat is heating up. Michigan was thriving. They ended up winning it all last year. Bad look, especially, with that Ohio State team with a player as special, as Marvin Harrison Jr. was, right? They, between their standard recruiting haul and the transfer portal, they have absolutely, killed it. I mean, it has to translate on the field, but talk about loading up, for war, you could low key call them, Alabama of the Midwest now, like it seems like any player that jumped in the portal from Bama, they were the first ones on their line, but it's going to be interesting, man. That pickup, in the defensive backfield, man, that is the type of acquisition that can lead you, to be the difference in just a good team and a championship team.
I agree.
I did want to interject something because it was the first time a player had done this. C.J. Stroud became the first former player of any university to donate money to his former university. So he put money into their collective, trying to make sure those kids get paid. So shout out C.J. Stroud.
And shout out to, I can't think of the other former quarterback, Cardell Jones, because apparently he's the one that set that up. I guess like they have a player donor situation going on now. So that's dope, man. I feel like we'll probably see more players do it. We see it somewhat on the basketball side. I know Coach Cal got the Kentucky Max contract, alums, willing to build a facility for them. So it's going to be dope, man, seeing the players pour back into, universities that gave them a chance.
Definitely. As we move on to our next topic, which is the NFL playoffs. Coming up this weekend, y'all. Championship Sunday. First game on the docket, 3 p.m. sharp, will be CBS, will be the Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going with the Ravens. However, I'm not betting no money because I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. All right, I'd be a fool to put money on that game and bet against Patrick Mahomes. We've seen what this man has done this year. Matter of fact, the last 2 years. He won a Super Bowl last year and an AFC Championship game this year. He's made scraps into gourmet sandwiches with what he has around him outside of Kelsey. The defense is solid. I think it's going to be a very, very good game, but I do expect Baltimore to pull this game out because I feel as though they have a little bit more on the offensive end, and I think their defense can contain Kansas City somewhat, especially the receivers. I like their matchups with the DBs, and they get pressure on Mahomes. That's another thing because I know his the All-Pro offensive lineman is out for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's not going to be playing this week. That's a huge loss. But it's going to be a very, very good game, and I think Lamar Jackson gets over the hump and gets to the Super Bowl. How do you see this coming out, Will? And then, of course, we go to Ben. How do you see it? We start with you first, Will.
I'm rolling with the Ravens as well. They just have a certain look about them. I think that people were wondering what they were going to look like, after the rest they got, going into that matchup with the Texans, I felt like, when that game was 10-10, a lot of people were starting to wonder, they thought it was going to be upset time. But seeing the composure and the focus that Lamar has continued to play with this season, and like you said, he has weapons now, along with that defense that comes up with timely stops, more times than not. I don't know, man. Like I feel like this might be their time, for their trophy season.
It's their best shot. It's their if it's any year, it's now. It's just their best shot to go for whatever they got, wherever they could do. Ben, how do you see this matchup transpiring on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. This is a game you can't really put money on simply because it's Lamar Jackson, the greatest offensive show in the game, versus Pat Mahomes, the most clutch quarterback and most talented quarterback in the NFL. And it's two great defenses. This Chiefs defense, they're a young group, but their young players are playmakers. I mean, George Karlaftis is a monster. Obviously, we know what Chris Jones does in the middle. Nick Bolton is one of the best up-and-coming middle linebackers in the NFL. L'Jarius Sneed is a lockdown. I mean, he gave up his first touchdown of the season last week. It took him 18 games to give up a touchdown. That's ridiculous. And he's not even supposed to be the best corner on that team. It's supposed to be Trent McDuffie. And so that's another name that they have. Like, yeah, their guys are young, but they have matured extremely fast on that defensive front. Obviously, like you said, you got Kelsey, who for a little bit looked like he was starting to go on a downhill trajectory. But, I mean, last week those 2 touchdowns were game-changing, obviously. But they're going up against a Ravens team that is probably the most talented it's been under Lamar Jackson. Obviously, without question, deepest receiving core he's ever had, with OBJ and Zay Flowers and Andrews and the rise of Isaiah Likely. The offensive line is a very solid group with Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Lindenbaum, who they drafted, 2 years ago. Morgan Moses was a great free agency addition, 2 years ago. And then the defense. Everyone questioned the addition of Roquan Smith last year, but with the addition of Roquan Smith, he turned them into the most dangerous defense in the NFL. And the crazy thing about Roquan that people forget, the dude's been in the NFL for 4 or 5 years, but he's only 25. The dude is super young. He's not even really in his full prime yet. And you got him next to Patrick Queen, who's one of the most dominant edge rushers at the linebacking spot. He can obliterate the run by himself. He can get to the quarterback by himself. He can drop back in coverage. And then Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton should have never fallen to the Ravens last year. There was no reason he should have been the 14th pick of the draft or whatever it was. Kyle Hamilton is a dog. Yeah, he ran a 4.640 or whatever. Find me another safety. Find me another safety in the NFL that runs sideline better than him. Find me another safety that can play single high safety and can also be a box linebacker. You can't really find another guy like Kyle Hamilton in today's game. So it's an unbelievable group that they have. I'm rooting for the Ravens as well. If this game was in Kansas City, I'd probably be leaning more towards Kansas City, but those Raven fans are going to have that stadium blasting.
Oh, they are. And I'm going to tell you another key for Kansas City, too, to possibly win this game is the running of Pacheco. He's a very, very good running back. Let me tell you something. That's when you know you have a great front office with the draft that they've done over the past 2 or 3 years and stuff. I mean, you lose a superstar like Tyreek Hill and really don't miss a beat. You really haven't missed a beat, man. And also, it's the great coaching of Andy Reid. And I'm going to tell you all something. We're going to have to say Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive coordinators the NFL has ever seen. He took this whole group here and changed them around. So he's definitely one of the best coordinators I feel the NFL has ever seen. As we move on to the realm of the NBA, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, not quite to the nitty-gritty, but the next couple months are going to be very, very, very interesting. speaking of very interesting, we got to talk about what we saw on Monday night in Philadelphia. We saw a historic night from one Joel Hans Embiid dropping that 70 math on the San Antonio Spurs with their super rookie Victor Wembanyama. We'll start with you on this, man. What did we see on? What were we watching on Monday night? Watching this man drop 70 math, scoring 70. What were we watching?
70 is crazy, right? But the context behind it is crazier. First of all, is the anniversary of Kobe dropping 81. You know, Embiid's a big Kobe guy, and then Pop was popping that, you know what, in the, pregame presser, and I think somebody put a little bug in Embiid's ear, and embrace that matchup against the future of the league and Victor. The run it down, 70 points, rebounds. He was 24 of 41 from the field, over 50%, and he shot 21 from 23 from the free throw line. This is by far one of the most dominant offensive performances of our lifetime. And I know the Spurs aren't good, but 70 is 70, especially in a win. That's the difference for me here. We know a few other guys got in the 70 club, but he got the W and by far looked like the best player in the league.
Yeah. As we see tonight, the Sixers getting dumped right now by the Indiana Pacers. Last I just checked, 132-114 with 1:30 left in this game. Ben, how did you feel about this Superman performance we saw on Monday night?
Well, first, you said the Pacers are currently beating the Sixers, right?
Yeah, they're beating them by 18, 132-114. Last I just checked.
I think that would be the first win they've had since trading for Pascal Siakam, so that would be cool for them.
You got a triple-double right now.
But yeah, Joel's 70. I mean, Will and I were talking about it right before the show started. It was extremely impressive, man. 18 boards. He was picking up every single thing, every missed opportunity he had, and he was picking up every missed opportunity that his opponents had. It was a big time. I think Wemby still had 30 that game, but it was still a welcome to the it was still a welcome to the NBA moment. Joel showed him that those comments you made before draft time that you thought you didn't need to bulk up a little bit. Wemby just showed you that you need a bulk, or Joel just showed you, Wemby, that you need to bulk up. This NBA shit, the NBA is not as fundamental as Euroball, but this is grown man basketball over here in the NBA. Everybody in the NBA, especially the best players in the NBA, all of them got size on them. LeBron is 75 years old and still weighs 265. Joel Embiid is 285. Zion is 400 pounds. Nikola Jokic is 400 pounds. These are grown men over here. But the thing I took away from Joel's performance that I liked the most was he did not force shots. Sometimes we can see Joel want to space out too far. We can see him want to shoot 6-7 threes a game. He only took 2 threes. That's what I was most impressed about with Joel. He would either run to his spot super early and get deep positioning on Zach Collins or Wemby or Sochan, or he was catching it at the free throw line, giving him a jab step, and then just putting it over everybody. He didn't force any shots. He got to the line. He shot incredibly efficiency. I mean, almost 59% from the field. He shot 91% at the line, 21 of 23. And just an incredible job by Joel.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing with Wemby is, I agree with the move that what San Antonio is doing. They don't want to put too much weight on him all at once. They're gradually putting this weight on him because he has a super team around him to basically keep him healthy. And I think their thing is if you put too much muscle on him at the age that he's at now that he could be more injury prone. That's why I don't think people realize, like, 2 hours before the game, Wemby actually does like this foot stuff that he does with them, with his feet and everything. 2 hours before, 2 hours after the game. Also, he gets 10 hours of sleep a night. He sleeps 10 hours a day, so he's getting his rest. So he is unique in that way. But I agree, though. I mean, Joel definitely took him to school, but you rest assured Wendy's keeping receipts after what happened to him on Monday night. So when you look at him 2 or 3 years down the road, when he starts to come into his man body and man strength and stuff, he's going to keep them receipts about how Joel took him to school, man. He's definitely going to do that, man. But
it's kind of like what they did with Giannis. Remember, Giannis came in about as skinny as Victor, and then it took him 3-4 years to finally get that man strength on him.
Yeah, but the thing with Victor is, though, when he comes into next year and for the next 15 years, God help us, because he's going to be something that we've never seen before. I think he's easily going to be a 30, 35 point a game scorer in this NBA. I mean, you see the impact he has defensively. You see the rebound and this stuff. I watched him last night. Him and Chet Holmgren last night. I know it was a 30-point game or whatever, but man, they were going at it, and it was personal between those two in the fourth quarter last night. You could tell. Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren's going to be a very, 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 very good player. He's going to be a special player in this league. But this Victor Wembanyama, when it's all said and done, man, it's like I said, my bar is Wilt and then Kareem. That's my bar. Wilt and Kareem as far as big men. You could throw Shaq in there too, Olajuwon and stuff. I think they're on the next level, but Wilt and Kareem to me stand above every big man. I think Wemby can be in that conversation with Wilt and Kareem when it's all said and done. I really do, because I've never seen, as I say every week, I say this every week. I know it's like a broken record, but it's the truth. I've never seen a player 7'4", 7'5" with the skill set that he has, the rebounding, the ball handling. He's the best shot blocker in the NBA now. I mean, and to be honest with you, if the NBA wasn't so perimeter oriented the way it is now, we're talking about 15, 16 years ago, these block shots might be 7, 8, 9 a game. So, it's scary, but like, we got to talk about the now, though. Like you said, which is Joel Embiid. He has another big test. He has another one coming up on Saturday afternoon, 5:30, him versus Jokic in Denver. Jokic is going to want to set a statement after Joel has torn him up for back-to-back 40-point games. Jokic is going to want to set a statement. But it should be a great, great, great matchup on Saturday between the Sixers and Denver, but also especially with the two premier big men in the league, Embiid and Jokic. As we move on to the world of to the NBA, you know what? We forgot about this last week, Will, and I just wanted to do a quick rest in peace. What's the coach from the Golden State Warriors, assistant coach that just passed away?
Coach D. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but yeah.
Passed
46 years young, man.
Too young.
To him, family, and anyone that know him.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to send condolences and prayers and stuff. I meant to talk about that last week, but I forgot, man. But it's a shame, this tragedy to happen like this, man. To this man, and everybody loved him too. I mean, yeah, we love our sports and everything, but we have to remember these are human beings behind all this stuff, man. And rest in peace, and like I said, condolences to his family, man, because I think he had like 2 or 3 kids as well. And trust me, I know that feeling, man. Losing a parent, man. It's not easy. Trust me. I guess as we move on to the world of the NBA as well, the NBA All-Star team. Before we get to that, that'll be later. Let's talk about what went down with the Milwaukee Bucks this week with the firing of Coach Adrian Griffin, first year, had the second best record in the East, but gone. Well, let's start with you. Well, you know what? Let's start with Ben first. Ben, how do you feel about the situation with Milwaukee and who they got to replace him in, Doc Rivers?
It hurt a lot. Obviously, I love AJ Griffin, his son, obviously because he went to Duke and stuff. So to see his father get treated in the fashion that he got treated in was highly disrespectful. Like you said, second best record in the East. What, 33-11? I believe that was like the third or fourth record in the entire NBA. 30-13. Second best record in the East. Like I said, I believe it was third or fourth best record in the entire NBA. I get it if his sets aren't the greatest. I get it if there's some things that he does that's maybe not prototypical to some coaches who have been in the game longer. We gotta remember this was his first ever head coaching job. This dude has been an assistant his entire career, and you put him on a super team as his first job ever, and it wasn't a super team that's been around for together that's got chemistry. This is a team that just added Damian Lillard, to be one of the focal points on this roster, and he was getting the job done. I mean, maybe it was more so the talent on the team that was getting it done, but I thought it was disrespectful, and especially for the coach in which they're bringing in. Doc Rivers, I get it. He's a legend within the NBA, but this is also a head coach who has not had playoff success since his one championship in Boston. This is a guy every single year after his championship run in Boston has fallen short time and time again, and not in a pretty way. He's blown 2-3-1 leads since his time in Boston, and you're bringing him to this team that has championship aspirations, that has to go up against the Boston Celtics, who look dynamite this year. You're having to go up, and then if you get to the promised land, you're having to go up against a really talented Minnesota Timberwolves team that's finally figured it out. You're going up against possibly the defending champions and the Denver Nuggets. I don't think going from Adrian Griffin to Doc Rivers was the best move, but I guess only time will tell.
Yeah, go ahead, Will. You go next. How do you feel about that? About this move that shocking? Well, I guess it's not shocking because people have been talking about this for a minute here. How do you feel about this situation going down with Adrian Griffin basically getting the boot for Doc Rivers?
I'm more shocked that they did it during the season, like this. The record that he had, I just don't, unless there's something behind the scenes you don't know, I just don't really see how you do this. And then, I saw, I think it was like Shams was tweeting, about the move. They got to pay Coach Budenholzer, Coach Griffin, and now Doc Rivers for the next 3 years. I just don't understand the logic there, and for what ended up happening, to be honest, they might as well have kept Coach Bud, pull him aside. Look, man, we got to shit with you. We didn't have the best season. That's right. Get it together. But you hired a guy that had no experience as a head coach. Giannis, I believe, vouched for him. So, of course, the franchise speech, you listen. But look how quick that went out the window. Sometimes, you can listen to, the stars, you can listen to your employees, but at the end of the day, the front office has to make the smart call, and if anything, you got to get a man some grace. Like, I know it's a win now situation acquiring Dame. Let's be real. Like, the roster has flaws. Chris Middleton, has been injured, and they lost their defensive pillar, Drew Holiday, and I'm always going to go back to that. So, I do feel like Coach Griffin got done dirty at the end of the day. But it is what it is. And Doc Rivers, I'm not going to disrespect the championship coach, but I will be, honest. More blown 3-1 leads than any coach in the league. That says a lot. The title he did win, Rajon Rondo, in my book, should at some point be in Hall of Fame. Paul Pierce, Hall of Fame. Kevin Garnett, easy, Hall of Fame. Ray Allen, Hall of Fame. It was harder to not win the shit with that team than it was to win the shit, for being real. Just be honest about it. So I don't give Doc a lot of credit beyond that. The years post championship. He's been a part of some very talented organizations. Coach Tracy McGrady, he coached the Lob City Clippers, who roster-wise should have done way more than they ever did. Another team that leads. I just don't get it. And they hired Doc as a consultant. I think in December they slow walk Griffin. So I just think it's just dirty.
Yeah, I was not surprised, but it's like, wow, this guy is his first year, and he second best record in the East. Like you said with Doc Rivers, I'm not going to go there with Doc neither. Doc paid his dues, got a championship. He's been in the playoffs, but like you said, the math ain't mathy, basically. It's not adding up with Doc. They gave him a 3-year deal, which I thought maybe they had another coach in mind that might be younger. Doc's getting up there. It's Doc about 63, 62, 63, something like that. But I guess they're going to try to get this done in 3 years. See what happens. Man, anybody would love to start with a franchise of Giannis and Dave Lillard, but that window is slowly dwindling. It's not. Of course, it'll never be closed, but it's dwindling a little bit with the core that they have. Chris Middleton, I think, is what, 32, 33. Dave is what, 30, 33, 34. Going that, but of course, Dave's going to be around for the next 4 or 5 years. Giannis, he's going to be around next 7, 8 years or so. He could do his thing. So, we'll see where the Milwaukee Bucks are at, y'all. I think Doc definitely for this year, he can say like, these are not my players. It's like, I just came in this year, this late in the year and stuff. And, I'm just waiting, to see how he can form his. I think he's basically going to wait to see how he can form his team next year. Next year, we have his stamp on his team. But I think the Milwaukee Bucks still can do a lot of damage, with the team that they have. Anytime you got Giannis, man, you got a shot, man, because that guy is incredible. And also, I thought Coach Bud got a bad deal, too, when they fired him, too. The man did win the title 2 years ago. He did have some injuries that he dealt with the year before and last year. And another thing, too, was that he was dealing with the loss of his brother. During the playoffs last year. So, of course, he probably wasn't in, he was there, but, man, I just lost my brother. So, of course, your mind's not going to be all the way in with something like that, with a family, tragedy that happened. And I see people throwing Giannis under the bus, man. Look, I'm not getting into all the behind-the-scenes stories of what happened and did this happen, did this not happen, whatever, man. Giannis earned his respect and his due, man. He brought the Milwaukee Bucks a championship. He basically carried that team 3 years ago to a championship. So, he definitely gets a pass on a lot of stuff there because he's more than living up to the billing. He's one of the all-time greats. So, I'm not getting into, because we don't know the true story until it comes out one day. No sense of speculating or what happened or whatever, giving out misinformation, whatever. But the story will come out one day, the real story of what happened. So, anything else that we need to pick up on tonight, Will, that you know of?
The only other thing Was the
Oh yeah, the last one, the last part. Sorry about that. Sorry to the audience out there too. We have to discuss this McDonald's All-American game, McDonald's All-American team rather, that just came out. Shout outs, congratulations to all the players that made this McDonald's All-American team. Deservedly so. But we need to talk about 3 big names that should have been added, but weren't added to this team. Ben, take the floor, if you will, on this that we're talking about here, this McDonald's All-American team. Because I'm gonna get to the 2 local ones from our area, Philadelphia area, who should have been there on this team. But Ben, you can start us off with this McDonald's All-American team, and how do you feel about this? And who was the biggest snub to you? And actually, it's probably 4, but who was some of the biggest snubs to you?
So first off, like you said, congratulations to everybody who got the opportunity to put McDonald's All-American next to their name. This East team is so stacked. Will and I were kind of talking about this. Some of the snubs were from East Coast kids, but when you start dissecting the East's roster, it's really, really hard to try and nitpick a guy who maybe didn't deserve it over another kid. The biggest name was Ace Newell. Will and I were mentioning, but when you go and start looking like, okay, who would you take off for Ace Newell? I was thinking like maybe Jalil Bethea and then maybe Drake Powell. My reason for Drake Powell is just because I'm a little biased being a Duke guy. Take all those North Carolina kids and put them somewhere else. The only North Carolina kid I respect is Ian Jackson. That kid's got a lot of talent. But this East team, when you really start looking at it, it might be one of the deepest East teams we've ever seen on a McDonald's All-American team ever, East or West. I mean, with Cooper Flagg, with Isaiah Evans, John Bull, Boogie Fwan, Ian Jackson, McNeely, Quentin Edds, Derek Queen, Bryson Tucker. It's really, really hard to find a spot for some of these other kids that had amazing seasons, whether it was in AAU or whether it was during their regular seasons for their high school basketball. To be honest, I wanted to know from you guys who the real snubs were, because outside of the top guys of this class, I'm not too diverse in some of the massive names that maybe have gotten snubbed.
I can give you definitely a name off the top, Billy Richmond. I watched Billy Richmond 2 weeks ago outplay Isaiah Evans the other day. And I know Isaiah Evans is definitely deserving. I'm not saying who should be put off or who should be put on, but I'm saying for Billy Richmond to not make this All-American team is a travesty as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's easily one of the top 2 or 3 players. There should have been 3 McDonald's All-Americans from Jersey. Telford, Harper, of course, definitely need to be on there, and Billy Richmond. I'm really shocked that Billy Richmond did not make this team, because this kid could do it all. He could score. He could rebound. He could play 4 different positions for you. Basically, he could play 4 different positions for you. He could shoot. His jumper has really improved a lot. He's the star of this Camden, New Jersey team. After last year, he had to take he was more of a role player last year because of the talented players he had. He's not a role player by far. He is a star player. But for him not to make the team, I felt as though it was like, wow, Billy Richmond really didn't make this team. And the other kid was Ahmad Noel. Ahmad Noel basically is the heart and soul of a very, very good Imhotep team, who's probably the premier program in Philadelphia. I think overall Camden's probably the premier program in the Philadelphia area, but city of Philadelphia, he is the premier player. They're probably the premier program, rather. You got Roman Catholic, you got Newman Goretti up there too. They're up there. We just some 5 programs here. But Imhotep is the class of the city, and he's the heart and soul of that team. He should know that. Jalil Bethea, let me tell you something, man. Jalil Bethea was definitely deserving. I mean, he's definitely one of the top 5 players in the country. The kid can shoot from anywhere on the court. he's gonna be amazing down at Miami. He's gonna give you over 20 points a game down there. He's probably he might be. It's between him and Ace Bailey. I think it's as the two. Oh, and Dylan Harper. They're definitely the three best bucket getters in this class. Those three are. But Ace Noel, I was really surprised he didn't make it. Rob Wright, I felt as though had a chance he should have made it. Bob Verdi should have had the 5 players on this team instead of 3. And they're good enough to have them. They're all top 25. But the 3 snubs for me was Billy Richmond, Ahmad Noel, and the other kid from Bob Brady, we mentioned Asa, man. Those were the 3 names that should have been on that squad. Not to slight anybody else, but I was really surprised those 3 names were on the squad. Will, take it away for us. How do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, I agree with you guys. Asa Noel, absolutely, Swiss Army knife of a player, producing everything, big time impact. The thing that I wonder about with Asa against is how will this affect the prep moving forward? Because, seeing that it appears that there's, a certain number of players that can make it from, each school or however that breaks down, who you have guys looking to go somewhere else where they are definitely a guy, instead of one of the guys to try to improve their chances of making it. I wonder what will move. And then, of course, the local guys, man. Billy Richmond, big time player, big time athlete, pass, defend, shots come along. He's the man this year. DJ, Bradshaw, he's carrying that team. And then Ahmad Noel, seeing Ahmad in person last year against DJ, he really opened my eyes to his ability. And he's in a very special way. I feel like he's deserving as guard in the class over 25.
Well, you break it up a little bit, brother. You break it up. You chop it up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Ahmad's over 25 again. Is still winning, after losing Ramir Barno, who's B1 Florida Gulf Coast, and Justin Edwards, was a high-ranked player now in Kentucky. So what I think the committee really needs to take a look at, and it's not to slight anybody, but guys should only be named to the American game if you are the guy for your team. I'm not going to name anybody, but some of these guys, while all are deserving, not everybody's rolling. I'll say that.
Yeah. I like I said, I was very disappointed, especially that I see Billy Richmond on his team and Ahmad Noel, because last year was a historical great year for the Philadelphia area as far as you had 5 McDonald's All-Americans, including Heidel at Notre Dame. She plays at Notre Dame, and the kid Jackson at Kansas. But you also had the big 3, of course, with DJ Wagner, Justin Edwards, and Aaron Bradshaw, and all 3 of them were in the top 5 to 6 players in the country last year. But this was a very, very, very good class as well out of the Philadelphia area, with Jalil Bethea, Billy Richmond, and Ahmad Noel. I really thought they were going to have 3 again this year. It really shows you the talent that they have. And I don't think people understand. People are like, well, it matters on the next level. Yeah, I understand that. But to be named McDonald's All-American is the highlight of your high school career. One of them. And for them not to be selected on the team, I was really surprised for all 3 of them.
Real quick, JB, I will say that's why I'm grateful that there are more showcases now for some of these players. Being out there now, Jordan Brand Classic. So hopefully some of these kids will get their opportunity to play some of these other games.
Oh yeah, they are. But I understand all the other showcases, which are very good and a lot of exposure. get a big name, but McDonald's is the granddaddy of them all, though. Like you say about the Rose Bowl being the granddaddy, McDonald's game is the game.
Absolutely.
Is the game. Yeah. On high school basketball, I had no idea that Camden actually went down to Baltimore last week and played St. Francis last week. Now I'm starting to wonder, I didn't see it on the schedule, are they playing in Hotep on Saturday, the 27th? Because initially I saw the game on the schedule, but now I don't see him on there or either one of their team schedules. So I'm wondering if the two are going to link up on Saturday or not.
Well, they had a game scheduled, but as far as I know, there was never a venue book, so you can't play the game.
Yeah.
I guess, not a game of that magnitude. You can't do it, at the high. So it's a shame because last year's matchup was a great one.
Classic.
But hopefully they'll be able to get it back on the course of the future. It needs to be an every year thing.
It should be. It should be. They should be playing every year. I agree. But yeah.
I had a question for you guys since we were talking about McDonald's. Obviously, we saw snubs on the men's side. Do either of y'all know why Toby Fournier got snubbed from the women's?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really familiar with her. Where is she ranked at?
She's the 7th best player in the country. She's Duke's number one recruit. But yet, Ariana Robertson, she's the 19th best player in the country. Plays the same position. She got in over her.
As they say, as Jay-Z had a song called years ago, politics as usual. That's what it sounds like to me. It might be some politics there. I mean, I've seen a lot of snubs of McDonald's All-Americans of stuff.
Does McDonald's only cater to American kids?
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be
American. That's why she plays in Canada. That's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's why she's not there. Yeah. If she played in a high school in America, that's the reason why. If she played in a high school in America, she would be on that team. Yeah, which is understandable. But I can give you some names that I feel has been snubbed. This is how far back I go with the McDonald's All-American game. I can remember when Lionel Simmons, one of the great college players we've had, and especially one of the greatest players we've had to come out of Philadelphia, LaSalle, 3,000 point scorer, was a lottery pick with the Sacramento Kings. He basically carried his team Southern, South Philly High School, to a title in the '86. Didn't make the McDonald's All-American game. Another travesty that same year was Lou Banks out of Camden, New Jersey. 35-point a game score. He was a very talented team, but he was a star though. They finished number 1 in the country. He played big in all the big games. He played big, which I never understood why he never became a McDonald's All-American. That was back in '86. Both him and Lionel Simmons should have been on that team. Also, we'll go to recent memory. Lance Ware. He should have been a McDonald's kid with the year he had in Camden in 2020. 29-1.
Just last year, you had Kyle Filipowski just last year. It was because he was a year too old.
Yeah. He should have been. Oh, he easily should have been on there. Those are some names that
Will and I were talking about it. Obviously, they're allowing G League Ignite kids. Remember, Jalen Green could not be a McDonald's All-American because he was with G League.
Neither did Robert Dillingham. He didn't make it last year either, but he was really deserving of it as well. So, what is the criteria?
It's constantly changing now.
Yeah.
Overtime league, but that's so. Shout out to friend of the show Pablo. He has spaces with the legend, Trigonis, and is extremely talented in basketball. And he cannot tell you what the black and white rules are for the voting criteria. McDonald's All-American game. And that in itself.
But Will, you break it up again, brother. I want to make sure that people get this point out that you.
You got me now?
Can you start over again what you were saying from the beginning? Yeah. So this is very important what you're saying.
So Dino's Tricone, he's extremely tapped into the basketball scene all across the nation. And he was saying there is no exact criteria for outside of reclass rules and stuff like that for who is and isn't McDonald's All-American. So, like you said, JP, it's a lot of politics. There's maybe guys that have AAU affiliation, certain affiliations that's doing the voting. So there are kids that are absolutely deserving that are not getting the shot they should get. And at the end of the day, nobody can give you a real line. That's bad business.
Right. Hopefully, or maybe they have to expand this to 30 players, from 25 to 30 players. 15 on each roster. Maybe they could do it that way coming up. It's a shame you don't have the parade All-American no more, All-American teams anymore, parade magazine, because that used to give you some clout as well. Parade All-American.
That's the real OG.
That's the real one. I mean, they go back when they had Wilton Lou Alcindor back in those days, but they don't have them no parade. Doesn't have their All-American teams no more. That was prestigious too, being on the parade All-American team. They chose 40 players, and some of them were underclassmen. But yeah, like I said, I'm not complaining about what the McDonald's committee did. They had to do what they had to do, but all I'm saying is that there should have been at least 3 players that we could think of that should have been deserving of being on this team. Hey, fellas, another great show, man. Real great show. So, Ben, we want to let you, of course, as you being the guest, like you said, you're the third member here. You're like the honorary, member of this team and stuff, man. Go ahead, kick your shout outs, man.
Yeah, once again, I appreciate y'all for inviting me back. I love doing this with y'all, giving my insights, hearing y'all's insights, most importantly. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Sports Veteran. You can also follow me on Twitter at The Hollywood Vet. But most importantly, make sure you go over to medium.com. Make sure you follow my account, Just Been Fair. While also there, you got to follow the greatest account ever, the Lyons Den. Putting out content for movies, TV, sports, music. Once again, Will, I appreciate you for allowing me to be part of that family as well. I love doing this with y'all, man.
Hey, man, never a stranger. Remember that. You're always welcome here, man. You're always welcome here. Anytime you want to come on, of course, you're always welcome. Will, also, man, kick your shout outs, brother.
Shout out to the people, keep us going. Shout out to the great list of guests we've had so far this season. You guys bring the knowledge and hold us accountable to great standard. And shout out to my coach. And we're gonna.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I know I still have to do some things I need to work on, but I'm never satisfied. But thank you, man. Man, without you all, this wouldn't be possible, man. Will and Ben and Coach Rod. He hasn't come on yet, but Coach Rod's behind the scenes and stuff. He's actually coaching, his team and stuff. He was originally going to come on with us tonight, but he had to do some scouting for his team for their big game they have tomorrow, which is understandable, definitely. When you're a head coach of a high school basketball, it's not a responsibility dealing with young men. But he will. I know I keep saying it, but he will be on with us. As soon as he gets some time, man, which is understandable. And also, man, shout outs to our loyal subscribers and listeners to this podcast, man. Like you said, the great guests, all of them that we've had on this show, man. And me and Will ain't going to release it yet, but we got some stuff we working on. Will knows what I'm talking about. We got some stuff we working on, behind the scenes that some people will be like, oh shit, that's what's going to be like. We got some guests we're working on and stuff. But yeah, on behalf of me, Will, Ben, wish y'all have a good week. Enjoy this weekend of fine sports we're going to have. And we'll see you on the flip side next Thursday. Peace.